Welcome to our third installment in the Spring 2023 Global Languages Endorsement, or GLE, webinar series. In this asynchronous offering, we will be talking about strengthening the GLE, North Carolina's Seal of Biliteracy, through K-20 connections. Let's get started. The GLE team at the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction is here to support all stakeholders as they work with students in achieving their goal of biliteracy. Please take note of our roles and contact information captured here. You may also access information and resources pertaining to the GLE policy at the bit.ly link provided at the bottom of the slide. We encourage you to explore and reach out as needed. This webinar is best experienced in tandem with its accompanying resources. Throughout our learning, I will make reference to specific materials, links, and slides. To access these resources, please follow the shortened link on the screen or access these materials via the Global Education Recognitions page in the Students section. Before we begin exploring our topic, we'd like to offer the viewers some considerations on how best to use and experience this webinar. Please note that the intended audience for this webinar are stakeholders who support the GLE, North Carolina's Seal of Biliteracy. This webinar has been designed to be self-guided and asynchronous, so viewers can watch and engage at their own convenience. The content and activities in this webinar are best experienced with a team of colleagues as a PLC, or professional learning community. So we encourage viewers to consider what other stakeholders could accompany them in this learning prior to viewing. This webinar has been designed to not only offer information, but allow for reflection and planning. As a result, the webinar recording will delineate where pauses can be taken to review key materials or complete suggested tasks. After viewing this webinar, we should achieve the following outcomes. Gain increased knowledge and understanding of the GLE through our feature on the impact of the GLE, North Carolina Seal of Biliteracy, on students as they move from K-12 to post-secondary opportunities. Share with participants key GLE resources to maximize communications and implementation, and highlight the work of a public school unit, or PSU, to provide context for how the GLE is being supported in the field. This webinar is divided into 3 sections. First, we will share some information about the Seal of Biliteracy's impact on students as they become career and college ready. We will then move into a discussion on the resources to use in communicating about the GLE and implementing it in schools and communities. We'll conclude with a section that highlights a connection with one of North Carolina's public school units, hearing from Union County Public Schools about how they use the GLE to support language and literacy development K-12 and beyond in the various programs they have that lead students into different post-secondary pathways. At strategic points, we will be pausing the webinar to allow time for processing and reflection. At these moments, participants will be encouraged to explore, review, and plan. Let's begin our first section. There are many benefits to being multilingual. This infographic from the United States Department of Education's Office of English Language Acquisition, or OELA, details how being multilingual, multiliterate, and multicultural in today's global society has cognitive, economic, educational, and sociocultural benefits. Knowing more than one language from birth, acquiring new languages through school, or learning languages later in life can provide tangible advantages in many areas. Please go to the NCDPI World Languages Networking page, where you can download this infographic from the Impact of World Language Studies section. There's a direct link in the notes, and you should also be aware that this OELA infographic is available in 4 languages: English, Arabic, Chinese, and Spanish. The statewide Portrait of a Graduate identifies 7 competencies that students should possess upon graduation from high school in order to thrive in a 21st century place of work, be it college, career, or military. Almost all of these competencies are connected to and strengthened by developing proficiency in another language. And there is considerable overlap with the benefits of multilingualism infographic that we looked at on the last slide. Please go to the NCDPI Portrait of a Graduate page, where you can download the Portrait and Competencies booklet and Communications Toolkit in English and in Spanish. The Portrait of a Graduate Competencies booklet and the Benefits of Multilingualism infographic outline skills that multilingual and multiliterate individuals possess. The purpose of the Global Languages Endorsement, or GLE, North Carolina Seal of Biliteracy, is to provide a way for students to show their multiliteracy in English and at least one world language. Here are some of the benefits of earning a Seal of Biliteracy. There are positive impacts on future employment opportunities in a broad range of careers. Students can use their language in their career in a variety of ways, so there's a future career use there. Students may also be able to get college credit by earning the Seal of Biliteracy, or GLE. The GLE is an additional seal on a transcript that can be used for college admissions as well as recognitions in other types of programs, for example, with scholarships or opportunities with the military. Having a Seal of Biliteracy increases your ability to travel abroad and your appreciation of cultural diversity here within North Carolina or anywhere you might be in the world. Also, having a Seal of Biliteracy shows your ability to speak to others in the community as well as family and develop stronger analytical skills that can be used in any area that you're working in. The benefits you see listed here are included in the GLE brochure, which you can download using the QR code on the screen or the bit.ly link that you see there as well. The GLE brochure also includes a section of student testimonials about why they pursued a GLE. Please read the quotes as they appear on the screen and think about how they reflect the skills from North Carolina's Portrait of a Graduate and the benefits of multilingualism across a lifespan in the 4 different areas: cognitive, educational, economic, and sociocultural. Again, these benefits and several more are all in the GLE brochure that's online where you can download it. There have been many benefits or impacts of sealed biliteracy that have been documented by researchers like Dr. Kristen Dabin at UNC Charlotte. For students, these are some of the impacts, which include proof of language proficiency, increased confidence, validation of a home or first language and culture, and motivation to go to college. For districts and schools, the impacts range from increased enrollment in world languages to stronger data on students' language proficiency, as well as improved language curricula. For institutes of higher education, or IHEs, or colleges and universities, the impacts included increased enrollment in world language courses, similar to K-12 programs, and more accurate placement of students in advanced courses where they could continue to build their proficiency in a language. A seal of biliteracy also is seen as a tool for recruitment due to credit and placement policies, along with opportunities to pursue a certificate or minor in a language to pair with the student's major in any field. Now that we have learned more about the research and materials on the impact of the seal of biliteracy, let's pause and reflect on these 3 questions with a team of colleagues from your school or district. Number 1, what are the most important benefits to share about the GLE or seal of biliteracy for your students as they become career and college ready? Number two, how do you communicate to stakeholders about the purpose and impact of the GLE educationally, socioculturally, cognitively, economically, and so forth? Number three, what structures do you have in place to educate different stakeholder groups about the impact of the GLE as students transition from high school to college and career pathways? Again, this is a pause and reflect time, so you can pause the video for as long as you need to contemplate these questions and have a discussion if you're working with colleagues. You may remember learning about the GLE Communications Toolkit in part one of this series as an important resource for educating about the Seal of Biliteracy. We're going to focus on the information in the GLE Communications Toolkit that links to the latest information about students earning college credit for their GLE. As always, you can download the GLE Communications Toolkit for free from the shortened URLs you see on the screen or the QR code. The GLE Frequently Asked Questions, or FAQ, is a living document where the most common and relevant questions related to the GLE have been answered. The FAQ has several sections with a variety of questions, including number 7. Can a student receive college credit for a GLE? The answer is, it depends. In North Carolina, the Seal of Biliteracy, or GLE information for the languages and proficiency levels, are listed on each student's transcript. Some colleges and universities work individually with incoming students to use their GLE information for placement and/or credit. Other institutions of higher education have developed policies for the Seal of Biliteracy. For example, East Carolina University's Department of Foreign Languages and Literatures includes the Seal of Biliteracy, or GLE, in its placement policy for all admitted students. As you can see in the screenshot, ECU's policy applies to languages they teach on campus, like French, German, and Spanish, and to other languages not offered at ECU. ECU's policy also recognizes different proficiency levels for the GLE languages in placement and credit. There is a national list of universities that offer placement and/or credit for Seal by Literacy earners, which is being compiled by Dr. Kristen Davin at UNC Charlotte. At the time of this recording, there were over 70 IHEs, or institutions of higher education, on the list from 17 states, and you can follow the shortened URL on the screen to see which campuses are listed today. To find out if a student can get credit and or placement in a higher level course where they might be close to earning a certificate or minor in the language, check with the campus where the student will be attending for post-secondary study. Now that we have taken a closer look at the FAQs in the GLE Communications Toolkit, we encourage you to pause, process, and explore. Take some time to individually review the GLE FAQs in more depth. Consider processing this resource with a team of colleagues using the Praise, Question, Suggest protocol we have provided here on the screen. Focus first on questions and answers in the GLE FAQs that you were already aware of. Then consider which of the FAQ questions have the biggest impact on your stakeholder groups. Finally, brainstorm ways you can adapt or use the GLE FAQs to make your local communications about the Seal of Biliteracy more effective. As before, you can pause the video now and consider these questions and these tasks for as long as you need to, either on your own or with your team of colleagues that you're working with.
My name is Jessica Garner, and I'm the Director of College Readiness for Union County Public Schools. As part of my responsibilities, those include oversight of our dual language immersion programs as well as our world language programs. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about how in Union County Public Schools we highlight and focus a little bit on the Global Languages Endorsement, North Carolina's Seal of Biliteracy. And I do want to just make the connection with what has already been said about the Portrait of a Graduate that the state has developed. We've also developed one here in Union County Public Schools and feel like this is a direct way for our students to demonstrate those skills. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of things that we do here in Union County Public Schools. First of all, I just want to talk a little bit about how we support language and literacy development in 2 or more languages. And I'm going to start really with our most traditional programs and offerings and then sort of work our way into more specialty programs. So first, I just want to highlight our honors and advanced placement. We do have honors available in all of our high schools, of course, that is those level 3 language courses and above. And we do have AP languages available currently in 5 of 10 high schools, but we're going to be adding that to 3 more within a couple of years. And then eventually we will have that AP course available in all of our high schools. That's really as our dual language immersion programs are moving up. You can see on the screen that the languages we offer currently are Chinese, French, German, Latin, and Spanish. And so, essentially those honors and advanced placement courses are made available based on student interest. So it varies from high school to high school. That's kind of where we are with that right now. We do have an international baccalaureate program currently at one of our high schools, and we have just submitted the application for authorization to add it at our magnet school, which actually gives students from across Union County Public Schools the option to be able to enter the lottery to go to an IB school. So assuming that authorization goes through. So these currently are available to all UCPS students. Because we are putting International Baccalaureate at a magnet school, that does allow for transportation to any student, regardless of where you live. And then currently within that program, we offer Chinese, French, and Spanish. One thing that's been pretty exciting with the IB program at our existing school, that is the high school that our Mandarin immersion program feeds into. So for the first time at that school next year, we're going to be offering the IB Chinese language A, the independent study course. So we're really excited about that. We've not had students with a high enough proficiency level prior to our immersion kids coming through. So this will be the first year that we offer that self-taught course, the IB language A. And then the last pathway that probably I would say has become probably our most direct pathway, if you will, to the Global Languages Endorsement is our dual language immersion programs. So we do have these available in all 9 UCPS attendance zones, which is pretty exciting. Most of our attendance zones have 2 schools with a program. And so, what that looks like this year, we will have 17 elementary schools with dual language immersion offerings at those schools. We're going to have 7 middle schools, and then this year we're expanding to, I guess we're going to have it in 5 high schools this year. So that's pretty exciting. And what we look for with that, obviously we want to make sure that those kids get their global language endorsement, but we're trying to figure out how can we continue to get these kids to a higher proficiency level. And so in our middle school program, we do offer them the opportunity to get 2 high school credits. That gets them through dual and heritage level 1. That's across 6th and 7th grade, and then dual and heritage level 2 in 8th grade. One of the things that we do at the end of 8th grade is all of our students who are in dual language immersion programs take the APPLE assessment, and they take all 4 of the tests for the APPLE. So that is one way, because that test is used for placement in the high school program, kind of where they fall when they jump into high school world languages. We do allow them to count that for their global language endorsement. And so we currently have about, if we look at last year's data, we currently have about 77% of our kids coming out of 8th grade who meet the second language requirement for that global language endorsement. And that's pretty exciting. We do encourage our kids, even though they've reached that milestone, a lot of them reach that milestone at the end of 8th grade. We encourage them to keep going. And a lot of times that is the motivating factor that helps them keep going through high school. So when we get to high school continuation, most of our kids place from dual language immersion place into level 3 or level 4. That's typically where we see them falling. And so we are on a block schedule. So a lot of our kids, our goal for them is to get through levels 3 and 4 in 9th grade, whether they start in 3 or whether they start in 4. We want them to get through 3 and 4 in 9th grade. And then they will take, we're hopeful that they will take AP Spanish or AP Chinese language in 10th grade. This sets them up for that high school continuation. As I mentioned, for 11th and 12th grade for our Chinese program, those students are at our school that currently has IB. So they can take that IB Chinese Language A self-taught course. Again, we're excited to see what that looks like this year. And then for our Spanish track, it's a little bit different. So we've worked with our local community college. I know this program is offered in a couple of other community colleges across the state, but after our kids successfully complete the AP Spanish Language and Culture course, hopefully in 10th grade, they can then jump into the Career and College Promise program offered at our community college starting this coming spring. And it's a Spanish language interpreter certificate program. So that is available in two different areas. One is in medical Spanish interpreting, and the other is in public servant interpreting. And so we're really excited about that. It's a 3-semester program that allows kids to finish with that certificate. And so obviously having started that after that AP Spanish language, they have to show success on the AP Spanish language assessment. Those students will all have met the requirements for their global language endorsement. So we're pretty excited about that starting this coming spring as we have more and more students that are going through high school. And because that's at the community college, it can be available to kids across our district. It's not going to be limited by the staffing at any one school. It will be available to all. And so, we have a lot of different options for our students here in Union County Public Schools. And so communicating all of this to our various stakeholders, we have a couple of different ways that we do that. So for our traditional programs, we have a high school program of studies, and we've linked that on the page. This is a publication that comes out each year. It's a physical book that applies to students when they start in 9th grade. And then of course, it's also online, as you can see the link there. But this really just provides them with all of the different options. We mentioned the different diploma endorsements, including the global languages endorsement. And it's really our main source of reference for kids. Those students coming into high school really study that book. They look at which classes they want to take. They keep it all 4 years. And that is really the handbook that they use as they choose which classes they're going to take. It includes information about, college entrance requirements, which includes that 2 semesters of language study, and kind of encourages them along that route. And then we also have a very robust dual language immersion webpage that includes sequencing for middle and high school. It does include information about the global languages endorsement. It has links directly to some of the resources that have been provided in this webinar that DPI has produced. And so we feel like that's a really good source of information for our parents. And then some of the supports that we do specifically for our students, kind of helping them think about what their goal is. Our school counselors work with students to create a 4-year high school plan. This is started in middle school, and our middle schools use Major Clarity. And so they've started to build those high school plans in Major Clarity. So this just helps kids kind of think about which classes they need to take which year. And if they know after high school that they want to go into a 2 or 4-year university, we really do encourage them to take world language classes so that they can meet that goal. And then, they can see, okay, I have room to get to the level to reach that global language endorsement. We also do middle school visits, so to the special program schools. So well, actually vice versa. So all of our special program schools, which we have health sciences academies and ag tech academy, we're starting a sustainable energy academy. Then we have our magnet school, which is Central Academy for Technology and the Arts. And then we have our early college. All of those special program schools visit each middle school during the application season so that our students know what all the options are there. And so this is a way that we also communicate which classes are available at which schools and when they might take them. So they do go visit those middle schools, and then we have some webinars, and then all of our special program schools host open houses at their schools where there's counselors on hand. The teachers are there to talk to the students, and so they know which languages are offered in those particular schools and how far they can go. So that's another support. And then for our dual language immersion program, we have lots of parental support there. We do have kindergarten interest meetings at each individual school. All 17 of our elementary schools hold those kindergarten interest meetings each winter as we lead into kindergarten registration. And then we do hold a webinar so that all of our parents can attend that webinar. And we actually have it twice. We do it once in English, and then we repeat it in Spanish just to make sure that all of our various families have access to that information. And as our students progress through the program, we do have rising 6th grade and rising 9th grade parent meetings. These are virtual webinars that we hold. And again, we hold them in English as well as in Spanish to make sure that all of our parent populations are available to access that information. And one of the things that we highlight in those meetings, even in the rising 6th grade meeting, we do highlight the global language endorsement because I will say that with our dual language immersion programs, this is probably one of the main motivating factors for parents who are trying to make the decision as they transition from elementary to middle. This is their middle school elective that those kiddos choose. And then as they move into high school, kind of trying to think about whether the students are going to continue with that language or add a new language. They want to know what the requirements are for the global language endorsement, whether their students have met that requirement and at what point. So that's a big motivating factor. I have lots of conversations, lots of questions from parents about that global language endorsement and what requirements their students need to be able to reach that. And so we try to hit that in every way possible, whether it's the website, the parent meetings, in anecdotal conversations with parents. We share that data. We have a dual language immersion parent advisory board at the district level. And so we try to share that information with parents at that as well, just so that the word gets out that this is an opportunity for kids that's a great opportunity for them. And so as I kind of think through, what structures we have in place to share and reflect on our sequencing, we've got some room for growth for sure, but as far as supports for students, all of our students do have one-on-one counselor meetings before registration takes place each year, whether that's a rising 8th grade student, 9th, 10th, 11th, all the way through. We do have those one-on-one meetings. And so I meet with counselors regularly throughout the year at all of our district level department chair meetings for counselors. And so I have the opportunity to talk to them about the various diploma endorsements, including the global languages endorsement. We had a specific meeting for counselors this year that were accepting students who have come through our dual language immersion programs to make sure that they understand many of these students are coming in having already met the second language requirement. And so we've had discussions about how we make sure that we capture that on transcripts and how we make sure that the data managers at those schools are aware of the kids. So we now have a spreadsheet that is a running list of students year over year who coming out of middle school have met that requirement for either the Spanish or the Mandarin Chinese. We feel like those are the kids that have the greatest potential maybe for getting slipping through the cracks with their global language endorsement, because it's not going to automatically be pulled through PowerSchool. So we need to make sure that we have that mechanism in place. So those counselor meetings are really important, and that counselor communication. And so I've kind of mentioned some of the things that are on here as well under supports for counselors and administrators, but I did mention that we have those clear outlines in our program of studies for various post-secondary pathways and what's needed as far as courses. And then we have information about all of the diploma endorsements in our program of studies that goes to every student in our district and is available online as well. And so I've already mentioned the monthly counselor department chair meetings. And I've also mentioned, or I didn't mention this, but we do have leveled meetings for our high school principals. And so in one or two each year, I specifically focus on the different pathways for kids with them. I have an opportunity to speak with our high school principals as well as our middle school principals. And so I talk about our immersion programs. I talk about how these courses sequence specifically from our immersion students, because it's the less traditional pathway. Our administrators are very comfortable and our counselors are very comfortable with the traditional world language pathways of kids who start a level 1 in middle school and then move on, or kids who start with level 1 in high school. But there's definitely a lot more education that is needed for those administrators and the counselors with these immersion kids, because our oldest group next year will be in 11th grade. So as they've kind of come through and we've added a school or two every year, we've increased what supports we have for those counselors and administrators. I will say that this is definitely an area that we have for improvement. With talking about sequencing and supporting our students, I would like to do more in this area. And I'm really excited that we have a new world language content facilitator who's going to support our world language programs starting in our district for next year, who will really be able to refine some of this communication to beef up what we have on our website, as well as make sure that what's reflected in the program of studies is really, really strong. So I'm really excited about that. And then also just working with our teachers, to encourage them and to make sure that they feel supported, because to me, the best support for our students with being able to know what the sequence is and really wanting to continue is having teachers that are excited about their programs. That's what it all comes back to. And so I'm really excited just, about that new position, that new support for our world language program and for those teachers. So this is the area, hopefully these suggestions have been helpful. And I appreciate you spending some time with me.